Welcome back to Big Mouth. It is a very sad day for anyone who loves Superman, and some people won't agree with me. But it's now apparently official. Henry Cavill will no longer play Superman. Henry will never ever wear Superman's cape again. He will no longer be Superman in the DCEU. Now, I saw this situation coming from the very first time I saw Justice League. Why, Mick, you may ask? Well, basically, from that moment on, Henry Cavill's Superman was tainted in such a horrible way because he was the face of Superman. And because of the terrible CGI with the Tash situation, he was made into a bad joke. How many memes did we see? How many pictures? How many times did people like Screen Rant put the awful CG for him up there? Henry Cavill is no longer Superman from no fault of his own because creatives messed up a situation. Now, I love Man of Steel, I love BVS, but this was a version of Superman for the few and not the many. The reason he's been moved on is because Walter Hamada and the DCEU want to give us a fresh Superman, one who hasn't got that history with him. And I was thinking about this, as I say, for the past, 7 months. I was thinking Henry's Superman has just got too much negative baggage. He had to go. And it's a shame because Henry's a fantastic actor. He was so enthusiastic. You know, it was only at Comic-Con he was talking about ideas for a new Superman movie, but I think that was just to strengthen his position. He knew it wasn't going to happen because Warner Brothers had made the decision. There was rumours about negotiations breaking down. I don't think there was any negotiations breaking down because I think from the moment Warner Brothers decided to bring new leadership in terms of New Line Cinema, in terms of the people who work on the Conjuring franchise, or in terms of Walter Hamada, Henry was never going to be Superman again. Look, we all knew it. And we all know that Ben Affleck will never play Batman again. These two situations are definitely happening. We knew it. It's good to kind of have it out there on the internet. Warner Brothers or Walter Hamada haven't, confirmed this. They don't seem to confirm anything these days. It's very interesting. So the Zack Snyder obsessives, as I say, I respect Zack as a director, but I'm not like these people who are kind of being, let's do the Snyder cut. Even though I would have loved to have seen the Snyder version of Justice League, I just think it's not probable because of so many situations which will just confuse what they want to do going forward. So the people who were talking about a DCEU reboot were kind of right, but I would say it's a relaunch, it's a rebirth rather than a total reboot. But I think this is really exciting now. We know mistakes have been made. We know Superman should have been more optimistic. We know his suit should have been brighter. We know that Superman should never have killed Zod, especially in the way that he did. Excuse me, I must have a drink. I'll tell you what, because I suffer with my kidneys, and if I don't drink for a long time, you're basically going to see me die in collapse, which you don't want to do you? After all, we've got enough sad kind of things going on with Henry departing as Superman. Never mind me dropping dead here. But anyway, for me, this is not a surprise. I mean, when you hear the news, you're taken back. Oh, my God. But I thought it. I thought it from the first moment I saw Justice League. I just thought, there's no way. And you know what? When I heard that they were doing a Supergirl film, it was obvious they were going to introduce Superman within that movie. Now, Superman, God, I hate pop-ups. Would you go away? But yeah, so basically, we know when Kara leaves Krypton, Superman's still a baby. So I don't know what they're going to do. That will be a kind of automatic cameo, won't it, when she's leaving Krypton? But she is going to be kind of more of the focus for the time being. A lot of people start saying that there's no Superman any longer in the DCEU. I don't agree. They know that Superman's an amazing character. Maybe he won't get his own movies. Maybe Superman will just cameo in other people's movies, but with a new actor playing him. That's very probable. And if he does get popular enough with the mainstream, because the thing is, Superman's got millions of fans around the world. That's not the issue here. The issue is the mainstream audience of are not that interested in Superman, which is a shame because as a massive Superman fan since I was like 10, 11, 12, something like that, it's sad for me that the mainstream just don't get Supes because he's so brilliant. But that is the way it is. So I can see him appearing in other films and things like that. First off, I don't think there's any plans for a Superman film. I hope I'm wrong. There's no one more than me that wants to see an epic, awesome Superman movie. I've discussed what I'd do before. I would definitely want to see Superman in the original Action Comics costume, at least for 2 to 5 minutes. I would like, what my thing would be, Superman's place in a world of war. So what I would actually do is, we'd see him in the Second World War, him being pressured to intervene and to kill Hitler, but he won't do it because Superman's stance is, in my story, which I've already written, by the way, is I'm here for the whole of humanity, not just 1 or 2 countries, not just the West. I'm here for everyone. Why should I hurt those soldiers and protect these soldiers? Surely that's not right. So when we get to the modern day, he's kind of introduced to Manchester Black, who believes Superman is wrong not to kill, and he's causing the problem of the high crime rate. So the whole thing is Superman's position in the world and why he doesn't kill. And I think I love Superman versus the Elite. I love the animated movie, and that story really inspired me to do this story. But we don't know what we're going to get, to be honest with you. We really don't. I'm just trying to take this in. We're never going to see Henry again as Superman. It is sad, but what contributed to this? Well, for me, fans are going to debate this, blame this one. There's a lot of hate for Geoff Johns by the obsessive Snyder fans. Ultimately, I don't blame Geoff Johns for this. I don't. Geoff Johns wasn't the one who appointed Zack Snyder to run the whole of the DCEU. Now, he's a unique director and filmmaker and storyteller, but to run a franchise and to let him make the decisions he was making, that's where it all went wrong. Him and Deb got it wrong. We saw that in Suicide Squad. They got it wrong. They were running that film. And the only reason Wonder Woman was such a good film is actually because Geoff Johns was more on point in that film. But ultimately, Patty Jenkins was very much running her own movie as well. And she fought for things that she wanted, but Geoff being more involved in that film was really important. Now, what happened with Justice League? You see, there's this fable, there's this once upon a time that it was all Geoff Johns' fault that Snyder had to leave, blah-de-blah-de-blah, and it was Geoff Johns' idea to bring Joss Whedon in. Listen, the removal of Zack Snyder came from the very top of Warner Brothers. It's as simple as that, because they were scared. They had in their minds the reactions to Batman v Superman, the reaction to Suicide Squad, so they couldn't take it anymore. They thought if they did like this light, fluffy Justice League, maybe they could relaunch it without doing what they've done now, but they couldn't. They couldn't save it. Literally, they couldn't save it. So people had to go, and the people who had to go were people like Affleck, people like Cavill. It's sad, but it's true. So we're going to get a new broom sweeping clean now. So Walter Hamada now has to implement people to go and recast Superman, to go and recast Batman. This is massive. But in the real world, let's be honest about this. You are going to recast. How many times has Bond been recast? But this is controversial because of what happened. But as soon as this is what you've got to understand. When something bombs as hard as Justice League did, and Justice League should have been a $2 billion movie, and it was a $650 million movie. So ultimately, action had to be taken. That's why Walter Hamada has been brought in, and he's taken this decision. But I believe that Warner Brothers wanted Henry gone, wanted Affleck gone, and with the problems Ben's got, the last thing he wants to deal with is a Batman movie or the DCEU or all the people, pressuring him and things like that. Anyway, it's time to get these new actors in and move forward. But I do foresee that we won't get a Superman movie immediately. I think we will see him at some point. I think we'll see him as a baby in Supergirl film. And I think as we get into that film later, he may even cameo as a teenager. and then maybe they'll team up at the end of the film. I don't know, but I think that's where we're going to first see the character of Superman. They're going to go at this a very different way. What they did with Man of Steel was very controversial. It pleased a lot of people. I love Man of Steel, but the die-hard Superman fans that have been buying comics for years didn't embrace it, didn't like it. Maybe some did, but most of them didn't. And then, to be quite honest with you, they were offended by Man of Steel. And the mainstream audience and the hardcore comic book fans must be at the forefront of any studio's faults. And the reason the MCU was successful is because the mainstream fans were happy and a lot of the diehards were happy. But there's still a lot of diehard MCU fans who despise the MCU, but there's not enough of them to damage the bottom line, which is the MCU's massive box office and popularity. Because it's so popular with the mainstream, there's nothing the haters can do about it at this moment in time. But nothing lasts forever. So now we are at this stage where big decisions are being made. Now, I'm sure that Walter Hamada and Warner Bros. Have been dreading this day for a long time, but it had to be announced. And as I say, yep, Henry, I love you as Superman, but at the end of the day, it's a hard decision, it's a harsh decision, but it's a decision that had to be taken. Because from the moment they fucked up that CGI on the Tash, or decided to bring him back with the Tash, it was game over. And we saw, as I said at the top of the show, we saw what happened. You know, memes and memes or whatever you call them, you know, they were ripping the piss out of Superman. They were ripping the piss out of Henry. He became a joke as Superman. He could no longer, from that moment, be the face of Superman. They're the facts. A lot of you are going to be angry and frustrated, but changes had to be made. They have, for the past 6-7 months, I could promise you, they've been examining every decision that Christopher Nolan made, every decision that Zack Snyder made, you know, David Goyer, all these people who were brought in that, because when the DCU began, Warner Brothers brought in Christopher Nolan as in this Godfather role. Well, Nolan didn't want to be hands-on and in charge of this, so he brings Zack Snyder in. So he's really, Zack and his wife Deb were the ones running this franchise. And then later on, Jeff Johns came in to kind of police him. But even what Jeff said in an interview just before Justice League was released, that whatever he was saying was being ignored. So when people blame Jeff Johns, I don't think that they should. But I think he was very much involved with Justice League, Jeff Johns. No question, he was coming in there trying to fix a mess. And he was trying to fix a mess that he couldn't fix. So they got rid of Zack Snyder. But they were trying to piece together a film that Snyder envisioned. And they couldn't do it. So it was a mess. So it's messy. So what should we call this? It's the end of the DCEU /1. It didn't really work. There were some fabulous things with it. I always remember those films. But a new franchise, listen, whatever way it's going to be plugged, a new franchise is being created to kind of rival the MCU. And it has to happen now because Warner Brothers understand one thing, that there's so much money to be made from this DC franchise done properly. And I believe, and I said it from the beginning, and I know a lot about Walter Hamada. Walter Hamada is a very good, talented, kind man. And he would have treated, you know, Henry Cavill with respect. It wouldn't have been, oi mate, get out. There would have been a lot of respect. There would have been no hatred. Henry will be gutted, I can tell you that. Henry would not, you know, I remember talking to Henry once about this, and, you know, he's so proud of playing Superman. It was, you know, I mean, I never got to meet Christopher Reeve, and Chris was my hero, not just because he was my first Superman, but his bravery after he fell off the horse. He was an amazing man, and then for him to come on my favourite show, Smallville, and treat with such respect, again, I fell in love with Chris again. But when you talk to Henry, Henry really is a fan of Superman. He really does love the character, and that's what's so sad here. It should have worked out for him, but he was betrayed. Not purposely, but he was betrayed by creatives like Snyder, like David Goyer, because they didn't give the fans the Superman most of them wanted. They gave us a Superman that some people wanted, but what most people didn't want. What has to happen now? They have to give the fans a Superman that we can all be proud of. A Superman for the many, not for the few. Excuse me. And basically, that's what we need. You can't be making commercial, mainstream superhero movies for the few and not for the many. That's not fair. And I'll go back and I'll state this. I love Zack Snyder. I love BVS. I love MOS. I don't even mind Suicide Squad. I think it's all right. Wonder Woman was awesome. But Justice League was the rod that broke the camel's back. There was no going back. You could not continue with that creative team. You could not continue with Zack Snyder. There was no way. Now, I don't know what Snyder was doing, and nor do you. I've seen a lot of rumours and claims that he was going to make a 3-hour epic. The reality is, for Warner Brothers to boot him out, if that's what they did, and that's what I'm alleging, and what most of us are alleging, he must have done something so bad and messed it up so bad they couldn't show the movie. Obviously, it was far too dark. They wanted a child-friendly movie, a family-friendly movie, and he refused to compromise. Zack Snyder wouldn't compromise his artistic vision. But let's be honest, that was pretty selfish, wasn't it? Because Superman doesn't belong to Zack Snyder. Batman doesn't belong to Zack Snyder. It belongs to the fans. It belongs to the guys who created him. We want to see Superman being optimistic, being that brilliant hero that we grew up with. He doesn't have to be exactly like Christopher Reeve, but he has to be Superman. Superman can't be Batman. He can't be Constantine. The best way forward for Superman is to be Superman, to be that ray of hope, that person who catches us if we fall. That's the whole point of him. So it has to be bright, and sometimes it has to be funny. I know some people don't want to hear that. It has to be an all-round package, but there's no reason why it can't be epic and it can't be compelling as well. It can be a mixture. So we will get, listen, we're going to get another Superman. We will get a Superman movie, but it's going to take time. They are taking time. Now, obviously, these articles, we're getting it from the Hollywood Reporter, comicbook.com. Everyone's coming up with this report. So it's happened. If everyone's coming up with it, it's a fact. If comicbook.com just came out, I wouldn't have been doing this video. I've already done a video on my Instagram that might mean a show because I just thought, if they're all coming out with it, it's happened. And for me, I'm relieved. And I think probably Henry will probably be relieved because all the guessing, what's going to happen with Affleck, what's going to happen with Cavill, now we know. Now we know that Henry Cavill will no longer be playing Superman. Now, we don't know for sure, but I think we can safely say that Ben Affleck will no longer be playing Batman. So now we can look forward. And guess, who are they going to cast as Superman? Who would be your ideal Superman? I'm still going unknown. Has to be an unknown. I don't mind if he's done a couple of things, if we've seen him on TV somewhere. Maybe we've seen him on Game of Thrones in a small role. But I don't want to see someone really famous because, as Dick Donner said, then you don't see him as Superman. You see him as that actor. You see him, for example, Christian Bale, who would never play Superman, of course. But I'm just giving you an example here. I'm excited, guys. As a massive Superman fan, I will always enjoy Henry as Superman. But now I'm looking forward. Looking forward to the new era of Walter Hamada with all these exciting films. I can't wait for the Joker movie. I think the movie pundits are getting it wrong about the Joker and it being a ridiculous idea. I think this film's going to be brilliant. I think this film could make 700 or 800 million. It's going to cost next to nothing to make. Walter Hamada is a genius, and he will do the right things for comic book fans, for DC fans, Superman fans, Batman fans, and all the characters of the DC universe. And I can't wait to see the results of Walter's hard work. So, like this if you liked it. Subscribe if you want. Spread the word about my page. Because at the moment, not many people are watching. It makes me really sad. We will talk again. Thanks for watching the video. Always keep it DC. Superman is the best.